now dead 3/4 of a year." Mr. Jasper, in the act of yawning behind his wine glass, puts down that screen, and calls up a look of interest. It is a little impaired in its expressiveness by his having a shut up gape still to dispose of, with watering eyes. "Half a dozen years ago, or so," Mr. Sapsea proceeds, "when I had enlarged my mind up to, I will not say to what it is now, for that might seem to aim at too much, but up to the pitch of wanting another mind to be absorbed in it, I cast my eye about me for a nuptial partner, because, as I say, it is not good for man to be alone." Mr. Jasper appears to commit this original idea to memory. "Miss Brobity at that time kept, I will not call it the rival establishment to the establishment at the Nuns' House opposite, but I will call it the other parallel establishment down town. The world did have it that she showed a passion for attending my sales when they took place on half holidays or in vacation time. The world did put it about that she admired my style. The world did notice that as time flowed by, my style became traceable in the dictation exercises of Miss Brobity's pupils. Young man, a whisper even sprang up in obscure malignity that one ignorant and besotted churl, a parent, so committed himself as to object to it by name. But I do not believe this, for is it likely that any human creature in his right senses would so lay himself open to be pointed at by what I call the finger of scorn?" Mr. Jasper shakes his head. Not in the least likely. Mr. Sapsea, in a grandiloquent state of absence of mind, seems to refill his visitor's glass, which is full already, and does really refill his own, which is empty. "Miss Brobity's being, young man, was deeply imbued with homage to mind. She revered mind, when launched, or, as I say, precipitated on an extensive knowledge of the world. When I made my proposal, she did me the honour to be so overshadowed with a species of awe as to be able to articulate only the two words, 'O thou!' meaning myself. Her limpid blue eyes were fixed upon me, her semi-transparent hands were clasped together, pallor overspread her aquiline features, and though encouraged to proceed, she never did proceed a word further. I disposed of the parallel establishment by private contract, and we became as nearly one as could be expected under the circumstances. But she never could, and she never did, find a phrase satisfactory to her perhaps too favourable estimate of my intellect. To the very last feeble action of liver, she addressed me in the same unfinished terms." Mr. Jasper has closed his eyes as the auctioneer has deepened his voice. He now abruptly opens them, and says, in unison with the deepened voice, "Ah!" rather as if stopping himself on the extreme verge of adding, "Men!" "I have been since," said Mr. Sapsea, with his legs stretched out, and solemnly enjoying himself with the wine and the fire, "what you behold me. I have been a solitary mourner, I have been since, as I say, wasting my evening conversation on the desert air. I will not say that I have reproached myself, but there have been times when I have asked myself the question, what if her husband had been nearer on a level with her, if she had not had to look up quite so high? What might the stimulating action have been upon the liver? Mr. Jasper says, with an appearance of having fallen into dreadfully low spirits, that he supposes it was to be. We can only suppose so, sir, Mr. Sapsea concedes. As I say, man proposes, heaven disposes. It may or may not be putting the same thought in another form, but that is the way I put it. Mr. Jasper murmurs assent. And now, Mr. Jasper, resumes the auctioneer, producing his scrap of manuscript, Mrs. Sapsea's monument having had full time to settle and dry, let me take your opinion as a man of taste on the inscription I have, as I before remarked, not without some little fever of the brow, drawn out for it. Take it in your own hand. The setting out of the lines requires to be followed with the eye, as well as the contents with the mind. Mr. Jasper, complying, sees and reads the following: Ethelinda, reverential wife of Mr. Thomas Sapsea, auctioneer, valuer, estate agent, etc., of this city, whose knowledge of the world, though somewhat extensive, never brought him acquainted with a spirit more capable of looking up to him. Stranger, pause, and ask thyself the question, canst thou do likewise? If not, with a blush retire. Mr. Sapsea, having risen and stationed himself with his back to the fire, for the purpose of observing the effect of these lines on the countenance of a man of taste, consequently has his face towards the door, when his serving-maid, again appearing, announces, "Durdles is come, sir." He promptly draws forth and fills the third wine-glass, as now being claimed, and replies, "Show Durdles in." "Admirable," quoth Mr. Jasper, handing back the paper. "You approve, sir?" "Impossible not to approve. Striking, characteristic, and complete." The auctioneer inclines his head as one accepting his due, and giving a receipt, and invites the entering Durdles to take off that glass of wine, handing the same, for it will warm him. Durdles is a stonemason, chiefly in the gravestone, tomb, and monument way, and wholly in their colour from head to foot. No man is better known in Cloisterham. He is the chartered libertine of the place. Fame trumpets him a wonderful workman, which, for aught that anybody knows, he may be, as he never works, and a wonderful sot, which everybody knows he is. With the cathedral crypt he is better acquainted than any living authority. It may even be than any dead one. It is said that the intimacy of this acquaintance began in his habitually resorting to that secret place to lock out the Cloisterham boy populace and sleep off fumes of liquor, he having ready access to the cathedral as contractor for rough repairs. Be this as it may, he does know much about it, and in the demolition of impedimental fragments of wall, buttress, and pavement, has seen strange sights. He often speaks of himself in the third person.